core training with the mace is more complex than just simple crunches and planks. Utilising the mace throughout certain movements, we are now teaching the body how to stabilise dynamically with movement added to it. Here you look at the hand-to-hand toss. I am learning now how to stabilise my body with resistive forces being thrown from one side to the other. So I'm learning not to bend laterally throughout the movement going with the mace, but to also how to stabilise my body from bending forward and back as we're going through. Into the path cutter, we swing the mace from one side of the body to the other, keeping it as horizontal as possible as we swing it across. Now, we can keep our feet stable, and again, this is learning how to produce and reduce force, so our core and our trunk will need to activate here to be able to stop the bend and the rotation coming through our trunk until we want to move our feet along with it. So now if I swing the mace from one side of my body to the other, I will pivot on my opposing foot until I get the mace in my other hand and I cushion the impact with a pivot on my foot. I will then use that power, all coiled up throughout my trunk, to be able to swing the mace back around to the other side of my body. We can also add this with a degree of movement change. So as I swing the mace from one side of my body to the other, I will now drop down into a reverse lunge. We can do this with our opposing foot to the side the mace is on as we come down, or we can have it on the same side of the body as well. Little changes like this will change the exercise entirely and start focusing on different muscles and different stabilization aspects throughout the movement. Lastly, we come into the mills. These are possibly the most technically difficult exercise that you could do with a mace. My recommendation is to take the barrel off and have it simply set up as the warm-up tool variation on our adjustable mace and grab halfway up the handle. We're going to swing the mace in front of the body, bringing it down in front of our legs, coming up to our side, and we pivot to face the mace. We then bring the mace over our shoulder, and as it comes into the pendulum swing behind our shoulders, like your 360s, you're going to use a pivot and turn in your feet to be able to create the throw over the shoulder. Now, how does this relate to core training? Well, this starts to now use that contralateral motion in the body, working through your oblique systems, helping to connect your muscles in a much more functional fashion. So when you're starting to train these oblique systems, you're training from your opposing foot all the way up to that hip and then directly across to the opposing shoulder. So if you think left foot all the way up to your left hip, and then all the muscles on a diagonal across to your right shoulder on the front and the back side of the body. And these two sling systems are key in relating to posture, as well as your ability to walk, run, and throw. But training core with the mace isn't limited to just these three exercises. There are many different exercises that you can do, but we want to be able to highlight the fact that you can start training your core in more dynamic fashions rather than simply standing still, holding contraction in the body with no forces applied anywhere else. We want to be able to show how the body is so intelligent at being able to resist and produce force as it's going through, and learning how to stabilize through those movements, showing you what core training can be like.